Fort Concho, National Historic Landmark, is one of the best preserved frontier forts west of the Mississippi. And despite the title national, we're proud to say it's owned and operated by the city of San Angelo, which in itself is a very unique achievement. For a city of San Angelo's relatively modest size to be operating a preservation project of this magnitude is really quite noble for the city and the citizens. It dates from the post-Civil War. It was part of a chain of forts that the Army put up in Central and West Texas after the Civil War to protect the frontier and to manage the settlement lines. Like all forts in those days, it was temporary, never meant to be permanent. We got lucky. They made this place out of limestone. And wood rots and adobe melts, but limestone's a thing forever, and that's why the place lasted. Army was here between 1867 and 1889. When they packed up and left, they literally left the fort to itself. And because it was on private land, the real estate agents sort of moved in and turned it into a residential and light business subdivision. And that was the fort's history up to the 1920s when the preservation project began, something we're proud still to be doing almost 85 years later. What is the fort today? It is, again, owned and operated by the city of San Angelo as a public museum and open grounds that's open 7 days a week. We have about a dozen buildings that the visitors can come through. Some have special exhibits, some have period displays, such as the one I'm sitting in here now, our Barracks number 5. And some buildings have special or changing exhibits throughout the year. We're well known for our special events. First weekend of December is our biggest, brassiest, loudest event of the year. It's called Christmas at Old Fort Concho. It's entering its 4th decade of operation. It's living history and food and fun and shopping and music and kids programs. It's 3 straight days of activity. It's one of the largest Christmas festivals of its kind in the territory, and it's always the first full weekend of December. Our other special events include Frontier Day, which is usually the last Saturday of April, and that has, as the name indicates, a pioneer frontier heritage angle, sheep shearing, agricultural stuff, cattle, living history, old-time baseball, more kids stuff, and of course it all starts off with a tasty and massive Lions Club pancake breakfast, usually starting around 7 in the morning. Throughout the year, almost every month we have something going on. The fort benefits and thrives because of a very dedicated volunteer force. I would estimate that volunteers at Fort Concho contribute between 15 and 20,000 hours of volunteer service to this institution. We just simply could not run this place and have it thrive the way it does without volunteers. One of the secrets here at the fort, and we hope it doesn't remain a secret, is you can rent a building here and have a party or a function. It's part of our income stream. It takes a good amount of funding to run this place throughout the year, and the city is generous in its support, but it takes more than what the city can fund. So we earn our keep here, so to speak. But I think it's also important that folks know they have the opportunity to experience the fort in another way. We have about 7 buildings that are regularly rented, and they range from officers' quarters number 1, which is sort of a bed and breakfast, and you can do a small family gathering or an overnight if you have a special out-of-town guest. We have officers' quarters 8, which is a good value for the money, and you can get about 60 to 75 people in there, and has a kitchen. And we have the quartermaster, which was the old art museum, and the commissary building. They're larger structures. They can hold between 150 and 200. Commissary has a kitchen, quartermaster does not, but they're both about 2,300 square feet. And you can have one large party in there and really have a unique experience. And then if you're planning the wedding of the ages or the party to beat all parties, then you should try our living history stables. Actually our old stables on Flipper Street, which has a legal capacity of 600. And it has heat. We're working on the air conditioning, catering prep area, bathrooms, and it can seat, as we said, 600. These buildings are all on our website at fortconcho.com. You have a party, you have a gathering, you have a meeting, you have some social function, we can work with you and find you a building that'll work it out. And it's a lot of fun, and it's a unique experience. A lot of folks, particularly on the weddings, enjoy the frontier sort of 19th century ambiance, and certainly this place has it. Overall, why should someone care about the fort, or why should they believe it's important? Well, first, it does represent the beginnings of our city. There were no citizens here to greet the troops when they marched in. There was nobody. There was nothing. When the Army got here, this was truly the edge of nowhere. And over time, they built a small community. And over time, the city of San Angelo grew up. So you might say we've been joined at the hip for well nigh 140 years. Second, it's good business. This fort represents a big part of the city and the county's tourism business. We service 55,000 people a year, a good number of whom come from out of town, out of state, out of country. And last, it's just a lot of fun. This place serves citizens as well as tourists. There's no program we do that the local folks can't enjoy. Even as simple as walking your dog on the parade ground, flying a kite. A day like today would be very good for flying a kite. Or just taking a walk in the evenings. This place is open to all, we serve all, and we feel it's important for not only the current lifestyle and quality of life in the city, but for the future. I think that's the greatest joy, seeing it develop over time. And frankly, there are very few places where you can go and stand and say, this is where it began. You can go out here and hug the flagpole if you like, and that's where it began. And there's something comforting in that you can go back to a city's original roots here in the downtown area, in and around Concho, Chaburn, and Oaks, and you can walk the same paths and you can look at some of the same buildings the soldiers did, and I think there's something comforting in that.